The following podcast contains coarse language and adult themes. This week on the show, well, how about that? We made it to a full year. So let's take a look back over the first year of episodes, picking out our favourite moments, the best gags, and a few surprises along the way. I'm Riggs.
I'm Maddie.
And this is the official start of Season 2 on the Film Addicts Podcast. Hey folks, and welcome back to the Film Addicts Podcast. We're so happy to have you here, and welcome to Season 2. We did it. We're here. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. It's joyful. And we're just going to chat about what we got up to this last year and all the silliness that was involved. Addy, how are you, my friend? Happy anniversary. I know it was like 2 weeks ago or something, but happy anniversary show. How are you? I'm
good. Happy anniversary show to you too.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. What's a 1 year anniversary? You know how you're supposed to get people certain gifts for different anniversaries? I'm going to look that up. I don't know what it is. It's paper. There you go. First year anniversary is paper. Is the traditional theme. Or the modern theme is clocks. I'm going to get you a paper clock. And then next year I'm going to get you something cotton and Chinese. No, it's cotton or China. So I'm assuming that means China as in, porcelain or whatever. What the fuck are we doing? When did we turn into, the gift-giving podcast? Nonsense. Absolute nonsense. But yeah, here we are. How do you feel, Addy? This crazy endeavour was all your fucking idea, mate.
I can't
blame you entirely.
I will take all the fucking blame for that.
Good, you should.
I don't know. There was the fucking idea. I thought maybe we could do like 3 episodes, and then we enjoyed it so much that I never brought it up, that I only had an idea of 3 episodes.
Yeah. You did, because you were like, I want to talk about the MCU and the DCU and the DC animated universe, and then everything else has just been kind of ad hoc. We've just kind of done it as time goes by. But for me, it's a really good, and we'll get into it a little bit more when we talk about it in the bulk of the show, but for me, it's a really interesting time capsule. I've been listening back to some of the old episodes just to, pull out some bits and pieces that are funny and find some gags and just also reminisce a little bit about the year that was. There's instances where my cat Spodge, who passed away, is in the background and you can hear me like dealing with her. So she was like trying to get up on the couch just a few months before she passed away. Like that means a lot to me, and also like who we are as people changing and how, the opening gambit for this show was the MCU, and we've both kind of not changed our minds on that, but we've both kind of graduated out of having it mean as much as it used to, certainly the new stuff anyway. So it'll be interesting to look back each episode. We're going to sort of hit on each one and remember some funny shit. I was remembering that story I told on the Dune episode about that this couple giving each other fucking hand jobs in the back of the thing. I enjoyed it in the cinema, but I must tell you, oh God, I don't know if I should say this on mic, but I'm going to anyway. I was a little bit distracted for the first half of this picture because there were 2 teenagers behind me in the cinema giving up some business. There was some stuff going on there that was distracting to say the least, and they weren't just making out, ladies and gentlemen, and all friends of all sorts. They were getting busy. They were on third base at least. And I had to turn around and go, guys, I'm sorry, I can fucking hear everything that's going on. Just it was bad. It was bad, man. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Sorry for that tangent. I had no intention of going to.
Hey man, I was talking about people getting fingered before. Like, it's totally fine. Look, let's not put a veil on it. There's a warning at the beginning of this podcast. We talk about adult themes sometimes, and it's not a bad thing. It's people enjoying each other. It's totally fine. But yeah, tangent all you want is my point. Dune's just a weird one. It's a weird finger movie because it's sand. There's nothing wet about it at all. Whatever. It's season 2, all right? You know what this is about, and don't act like you don't. Also, just a really quick shout out before we get into what are we watching. Thanks so much to the Till the End of the Line podcast for having me and Addy as a guest on. That episode's been released now, so we could talk about it. I accidentally nearly gave away the farm last week. But yeah, so much fun. Juan and Kike are just like awesome dudes, and it's funny. They're the American equivalent of me and Addy. It's really unusual because clearly Juan talks as much as I do, and Kike's like really measured, and then he comes in with some fucking fire. You know what I mean? Like it's just. Yeah, it was so much fun. We had a great rapport. It was 3 a.m. for me, so I was, running on caffeine and stupidity. And they just made it so easy. And yeah, I think it looks like we're going to be doing that as a regular thing, which is really cool. So yeah, thanks so much, guys.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us. It was, we talked about it a lot, but certain things didn't plan out, and we weren't watching the same shows and everything. But yeah. I'm kind of glad that it happened the way that it did, because I was on call with Juan for like 2 hours before that, just trying to figure out what the fuck and how the fuck we're gonna record that, and then we just ended up using his phone.
Yeah, we would. It was a bit of back and forth there, but that's there's always going to be teething problems. We had them at the beginning as well. Shit, we used to record over Zoom, and you can absolutely tell the audio quality differs. My friend Hugo, because he's a big fan of Dune, he's like, "Did you like Dune?" And I was like, "Man, I fucking love Dune." I did an episode of the podcast on it. You should listen to it. And he listened to it, and he's like, "It's a really good episode, but the audio is not great." And we knew that. I did everything I could. That's why we now record it separately for your beautiful asses. So speaking of beautiful asses, what are we
watching?
I don't know. Depends on what we were watching. I mean, they might have been watching something with beautiful asses in it. I don't know. What have you been watching, sir?
Oh, just porn. Just beautiful asses.
Beautiful ass porn. Oh my god. Whatever. Remember, everyone, it's season 2. If you're here, you've been here for a year already, so don't pretend like you weren't expecting any of this. There's a warning at the start. So heaps of porn. Awesome. What did you watch? Did you watch Shaving Private Ryan?
No.
Come On, Eileen. That's my favourite one. Oh no. This episode's a bit loose, everyone, because we're both like a little tired and it's gotten a bit crazy, but that's fine. So what have you actually legitimately been watching?
Oh wow, okay.
Anything?
I watched Tetris the other day, but the big one is I watched Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves.
Yeah, how was it? You seem to dig it a lot.
Yeah, it is incredible in every way possible. I cannot believe how much they pulled off. The lore.
Sure.
My D&D character is level 7 Dragonborn, and there were 2 Dragonborns in this film. They were all practical. Like, there were people in suits, and it was fucking spectacular. There's comedy that hits every single beat. Anyone who's into fantasy should go and check it out. And I love that the major review has been that people who watch the movie and have no idea what the role-playing game is, like, have come out of it wanting to play the game and be on a table, which, as someone who grew up with D&D and it means so much for people to just be accepting of that now, because the game's been around since the 70s, and it's just starting to be cool. Like, give it another 10 years and people will be playing it every single week. So yeah, it's amazing.
That's awesome, man. I'm so glad. Yeah, it's huge. I was at Lobo's Collectibles here in Melbourne, and doing some filming there for actually I can't say what it's for. I was doing some filming there, and they had just Dennis, the guy who runs it, is a super cool dude, massive nerd, just yeah, good fun guy. I'd been talking about you and your D&D-ness, and he sent me a set of the original like games and figures and all that stuff that he. Remember, I sent you a picture of the cabinet he'd set up. And he goes, "Your friend will like this." So yeah, it's definitely got a storied and rich history, and also like. You know, you were saying the other night that you were like really excited about it. We need to do an episode on, which will be the next episode. Will be on D&D, the picture. I've got to go and see it yet, but I'm happy to do that. Chris Pine fighting dragons. I mean, what more could you ask for? I'm assuming that's what happens, or maybe he's fighting dungeons. I don't know, but you were saying yeah, people kind of well, they give you shit for it, but they don't accept it as something that people should do. Or something that cool people do, or I don't know what the stereotype is around D&D. It's all nerds and shit like that. It's like whatever, fucking. It's like in the Airheads, the Brendan Fraser movie where he was like, I used to be a really big nerd, and like because he's a cool rock dude at that point. I played D&D and in my basement, ate my boogers and all this kind of stuff. And there's this awesome like black guy in the crowd, and he's like, I played D&D too. Like it's just there's something there for everybody, and in these days, like these times, nerd culture is king. Like we are the meek shall inherit the earth. I don't know who's giving you shit, but whoever those people are, if they listen to this podcast, maybe get a fucking hobby, because that is really boring. And like, why would you chide something for someone for enjoying what they enjoy? That's just anybody who tells you that the things that you love have no value. They're not worth your time. So you enjoyed D&D. I'm looking forward to seeing the picture. And we'll do a proper review of it. Was there something else that you'd seen as well? I felt like you said that there was something else when we were just chatting. The Insta-fuck.
We're on Insta-fuck a lot, right?
We're on Insta-fuck all the time. The amount of cock chats we have.
Penis chats. Cut to 2 hours from now, we actually find out there's something called Insta-fuck, and then we have to
there probably is. I mean, like, I'm not that schooled in internet sort of jargon and stuff like that. When everybody was talking about TikTok, I thought it was about a biscuit. So I think I might have used that joke before. That's the problem too, as well, everybody. You need to remember that I'm compared to Addy, I'm of geriatric age, and sometimes I repeat my jokes. Now that we're a full season in, you might just get a bit of a rehash here and there.
That's fine.
That's all right. New people will come in and check them out. So was there anything else apart from D&D? Because I've barely got anything, honestly, because I've been working heaps this week. So,
I watched the Tetris movie starring Taron Egerton.
Oh yes, the old Tetris. How was it?
It was great. I did not know that it was based on a book. And I did not know that it was based on real events, and it was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really fun. It's a fun story about how this one person who worked for this one video game company in the US found Tetris and then wanted it to be on every single platform that you could play games on, and has to go all the way to the Soviet Union. And then realized that they never fucking sold Tetris. So every copy that there is fucking illegal.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, Apple TV does some interesting stuff. And I remember when I heard that, like, Taron Egerton is going to be in the Tetris movie, I'm like, what the fuck is that? That's not Battleship. How do you make a movie out of that? I thought it was going to be like Pixels or something. But it's, a little bit more of a biopic than anything. But yeah, do you recommend it?
I do. It's about the creator of Tetris and how, like, after the film is set while the Soviet Union was just collapsing. And it's like, it shows like how even after everything, like the creator did so much yet didn't get anything. But I love that this film exists so that people can at least know the story.
Yeah, it's and if it's shedding light on something that we find really ubiquitous and everybody knows what Tetris is. It was a phenomenon. And then to show some reality behind that, then that's really cool. I dig it a lot. I'm gonna check it out. Speaking of Chris Pine, I watched the Princess Diaries movies, which is pretty funny. Yeah, so I watched the Princess Diaries movies with the Anne Hathaways, and it's funny because for some reason, they're trying to convince us that she is not attractive, and because she's got frizzy hair. I mean, in what universe is Anne Hathaway not attractive? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You could cover her in dog shit and put and she'd still be better looking than anybody ever who's ever lived. So, but I appreciate the pageantry of it, but it's not exactly, you know, well, My Fair Lady's kind of like that too, but it's not exactly like she's some sort of, you know, troll who lives under a bridge. And, you know, if she was, that wouldn't be a problem either. But the point is that I watched those two movies, and the second one's got Chris Pine in it, and it led me to another Chris Pine picture that night. I was like, I want to get some more Pine in me. I don't feel like I don't think I've got enough pine up. I don't got enough pineapple.
Do you like pineapple on pizza?
Yeah, why? Well, I'm a vegan though, so like I you know, not to hang on a second, let me adjust that. I eat a plant-based diet because when you tell people you're a vegan, they immediately think you're a prick. And I'm not saying that's not the case, but I'm not a prick because I like pineapple. No, the gag in Deadpool, how he's like, the one pineapple and olive pizza? Ah, sweet and salty. I was like, pineapple and olive sounds amazing on a pizza. I'm going to try that. And I made it, and holy shit, if it isn't the best thing ever. So yeah, I have pineapple and olive pizza all the time. Just with vegan cheese, that's all. Which often tastes like feet. And don't ask me who did my research.
I won, and I'm scared of the answer.
You should be. Okay, what, do you like it too? You like pineapple?
I like it too.
Yeah.
There's a chain here called the Pizza Company that used to.
Jesus, I bet they were up all night thinking that one up. The Pizza Company. That's like releasing an autobiography called Book. Like it's not very intelligent. But anyway, Pizza Company. They do good pizzas.
Yeah, I think they do amazing pizzas. And for I think it was like until 2017, if you ordered a vegetarian pizza or any pizza, I think, they would have pineapple on there.
Mm.
And now they don't because it's become such a huge thing that they removed it.
Someone cancelled pineapple. Oh no, you hear about pineapple? What? It got cancelled. Holy shit, pineapple got cancelled? Yeah, man. And he was in a film that came out this year on Prime, Amazon Prime, called The Contractor, about a guy who's Navy SEAL sort of style thing, a little bit more realistic than that. Like Navy SEALs are obviously often like fictionalized in a really particular way, whereas they're kind of just more like, you know, wet work guys or black ops guys. But this was in the reality of that, and he couldn't get back into the military because he'd been injured, and because of his injury he was taking substances which were, you know, you can't take when you're in the military. And so he hires himself as a contractor to Kiefer Sutherland, and the op goes wrong. And I really dug it. It was meditative and like slow in parts, and then these sporadic moments of like punctuated violence, but not in a Jason Bourne kind of way. It was really clumsy and the way that people would fight if they were fighting for their life, and he was really good in it. Like I haven't seen him in that mode. There was no sort of out the side of his mouth grinning. He's just trying to protect his family and make money, and like the message, of course, is how marginalized and forgotten people in the military are once they're discharged, either under the same sort of circumstances or under positive circumstances if they leave of their own volition. But especially in America, there is a really huge problem with the way that veterans are treated, and this speaks to it. You know, he's losing his home. Like, he's fought for his country for years and years, done 3 tours, and yet he can't even afford to feed his children. Like that's sort of the message. But the movie itself is really interesting and action-packed, and yeah, I dug it a lot. I'd absolutely recommend that. And the other thing I watched last night, Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, what the fuck is he watching?
Planet of the Apes from 1968, and I'm watching it because it's this month's We Love Movies on Patreon. and I like to watch the movies before I listen to their podcast episode. And I'd never seen it. I'd never seen the OG one with Charlton Heston. And I was at the studio yesterday, and I asked Dan, my business partner. I was like, everybody knows who Dan is by now. Dan the man. We were packing up after the shoot, and I'm like, have you seen the OG Planet of the Apes? He goes, yeah, I love it. That was a tick of approval. Fuck me, it's weird. There's some weird shit. There's some weird sex shit going on in that. Like, just the way that there's like a mute girl in it, and they put her in a cage with Charlton Heston, and he's kind of like, you do love me, I suppose. And just, he's my Charlton Heston doesn't talk like that. He talks like this. Get your hands off me, you damn dirty ape! Like, he's got a real weird cadence. But yeah, there's this woman, and then there's the monkey woman who kind of falls for him. But let me tell you, as much as I like those new ones, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, Ward, Planet of the Apes, I don't know. the fridge that's on the Planet of the Apes, where they keep all their bananas nice and chilled, or whatever it is. And to any monkeys listening, I'm sorry if that's a stereotype. But I don't know how many monkeys have Spotify. They don't release that information to the public. They don't, algorithmically, you never know how many simians are actually involved in this podcast. But the prosthetic makeup and all that stuff is just incredible. Even though the newer films are like, the CG is really incredible. The motion capture on Caesar is outrageous. But in particular, this first film, like, there's just something about the practicality of seeing real eyes behind these monkey masks. So yeah, I'm gonna dig it. I'm gonna check it out. The next ones as well. Like, there's a couple of sequels on Disney Plus. Not all of them, because I don't think that Disney has the rights to all of them. But I think Conqueror of the Planet of the Apes is under, then Beneath the Planet of the Apes, which is some of the sequels. So I'm gonna check those out for sure. For sure.
Yeah, I'll check out the first one.
Yeah, man, it's worth your time. Charlton Heston's hysterical, because he's not actually a very good actor in my opinion, but he's all in. Talking so serious about monkey business. I loved it. Well, should we get into the first official nerd news of season 2?
Sure. I just have one question. What year was this?
1968 was the original.
Oh, okay.
But it's interesting. It's like they're on Earth. They leave Earth on an exploratory mission, and it's 1978 or something like that. But they're going through the sort of Christopher Nolan interstellar singularity paradox thing, where the further they get from Earth, the more time that passes on Earth. So it's like ends up being like 3,000 years has passed on Earth, and that they haven't aged. So yeah, wasn't expecting that kind of fourth dimensional logic to go on, but whatever. Yeah, the nerd news.
Nerd news. I think this is probably how we started the nerd news the first time. We just said nerd news, like fumbling around.
That's exactly what happened. Actually, it's in like fucking episode maybe 3 or 4. I can't remember which one it is, but I was just like doing it, and I think I just coined the term. We'll just call it nerd news, and that was before we had a
theme song.
Anything really. Yeah, and I mean, and before we get into it, shout out to my main man Johnny, JP. What a legend! Like, so generous with his art. Like, the theme song's always been there. It's a track from his album from a few years ago, and it's a spectacular album. We did a film clip for one of the songs, and he's a consummate professional. He's so generous and so gracious, and he's always interested in what we're doing here, and he just set up this Dropbox. And he was like, or this Google Drive thing, and he's like, I'm just going to put music in there, and you can use it for whatever the fuck you want. And it gives an identity to the show and a DNA to the show that would be missing otherwise. I'm not saying that you need to have theme songs or segments or anything for your podcast, but I like the structure of that. It feels like a show. It feels like a variety show to me. And leading into the music and also being able to promote Johnny as an artist, because, you know, he works with us at the studio, and he's such a talented guy, but absolutely no. I was listening to a podcast the other day called Script Apart with Alan Horner, and he was interviewing Todd Field for Tar, and he Todd Field was talking about one of the characters in the film that Lydia Tarr meets is this young cello player who is youthful and exuberant and just kind of attacks life with this kind of ferocity that you don't find in older, jaded people. And he said of her that she's so self-aware, she's so comfortable in her own skin, she constructs no image. So she is not conscious to develop some sort of ideal outside of her own self that other people see. People do that all the time, even in work situations, but she doesn't do that. My fiance is a person who doesn't do that. There's no image to her. There's absolutely no edge. And Johnny's like that. Like, Johnny is 100% unequivocally who he is and doesn't make any apologies for it. And I appreciate him as an artist and as a human being, but as a friend. He's a beautiful person. And Johnny, I know you're listening. I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for everything you do for us on the podcast and at the studio, and just, enriching our lives with your beautiful presence. You fucking absolute crazy motherfucker who doesn't sleep at all. Just hangs upside down for 45 minutes in the evening and then back at it. Every time I talk to him, he's awake, and I'm not like, there's all the time he's awake, so I don't know what's going on with him. Maybe he just siphons, maybe it's like Dr. Sleep, and he like siphons the steam out of children and then tosses them aside and goes on his day.
That took a turn.
Dr. Sleep's a good movie. It did a bit, yeah. I mean, I love him. I don't think he's an actual vampire. But anyway, you just heard Johnny's theme then, and now we're going to get into some nerd news, because some really cool stuff happened. Let's just talk about trailers first up. Barbie. Did you see the Barbie trailer? Oh, do you not know? That's no for you?
No, I hate it. I hated so much of it.
Oh, really?
Okay, here's the thing. I know the plot might be that Barbie goes to the real world.
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably why they're not showing any of that. Because they want that to be like the big surprise. All that they showed in the trailer was just bad to me.
Yeah.
Like, I could not. And I have nothing against Ryan Gosling. He's an amazing actor. The man is fucking perfect. From the hair to dick hair.
To his dick hair. It's called pubic hair, son. It's not called dick hair. Dick hair is I don't know. It's a really, really badly named shop that sells toupees.
I'm sorry.
Come on into dick hair. And the guy who runs the place, name's Richard, you see.
But yeah, his Ken looks like he's 70 years old.
What makes you say that?
I don't know. It's white,
just the hair.
White hair and shit. Seemingly, you could have been such an amazing Ken.
Oh, you're kidding me? There would have been riots in the streets and people would have been fucking ripping stadiums apart and eating the chairs. Like, I'm surprised he's in it at all. I did like that little bit at the end, though, where it's like, if I wasn't severely injured, I'd beat you off, because they're at the beach. He's like, I'll beat you off. I'll beat you off right here. No one's going to beat anyone off. That was pretty funny. However, I was having a conversation with someone about that the other day. I think it might have been Natty, actually, at the studio, who's the person who runs our social media. And I think I was talking to her. If it wasn't Natty, I'm sorry if I'm putting words in your mouth that weren't yours. But anyway, I was talking to someone who I think was Natty about that. And it's funny. That last little gag is a sexual gag. And I don't know how tongue-in-cheek this thing is. I know it's Noel Baumbach and Greta Gerwig, so it's not going to be children-friendly. But Barbie is a childhood institution for a lot of people. I don't think the people who are going to go and see this are all going to be people who have previous with it from childhood and are now adults. I think some kids are going to go and see this. And if they're talking about beating people off, there is some Karen... What? You?
Yeah, I'm previous with Barbie and I'm going to go watch it.
Yeah, well, that's fine. And some people are going to enjoy that. And you're an adult, so you can laugh at a beach off joke, because that's quite funny. But I just feel like there's some Karen, some helicopter parent who's going to be like, my child doesn't need to know what hand jobs are at 11 years old. Oh, my goodness. Give me money, or whatever it is that they end up doing, or just listen to me on social media, probably more than anything. But yeah, I feel like it's going to polarize people when it comes out. It's going to be one of those love it or hate it kind of pictures.
I'm gonna go watch it because it's Greta Gerwig and she's my second favorite director of all time.
Yeah, she's pretty great.
So yeah. Plus, I just wanna like. I have nothing against that movie. I just need to know more about what the story is gonna be. Because if the trailer is like what 80% of the movie is, then I've already played that movie. I've already had fights with my friends about who's gonna spend more time with Barbie. I don't want that for 2 hours.
Fair enough. Fair enough, man. I have no previous with it whatsoever, apart from the fact that when I was younger, I had like 13 female cousins, and they all had Barbies, and I had Spider-Man. And Spider-Man would go out and have adventures, but then he'd have to come back home to Barbie. And they would do domestic stuff. I was like, this is wrong. For starters, this is an action figure, and Barbie's 4 foot tall. So he's right at the height where you would, you know what I'm saying? There would be... There wouldn't be any ducking down, is all I'm saying, is for Spider-Man and Barbie. The other trailer that didn't have Spider-Man or Barbie in it was Blue Beetle. Like I said when we were talking to the guys on the Till the End of the Line podcast the other day, to me the costume looks really cool. It looks like Guyver. And those of you out there know Guyver, you'll know what I'm talking about. But if you don't, look it up. But this looks pretty baller and colourful and interesting and kind of has a little Spider-Man vibe to it. But also, I found out yesterday, or it's been reported yesterday, that this is the first official movie of whatever the new DCU is going to be.
That's not true. That's
not true?
Yeah. The first official movie that the new DCU is going to put out is in 2025, called Superman Legacy.
Okay, so that's someone is... Well, maybe whoever that was is a dickhead. Whoever said that. Maybe it's the end of the DCU. I don't know.
I think the end of the DCEU is the Flash.
Shazam! No, you're probably Flash, yeah.
Yeah. No, it's Aquaman 2, because that comes out after Flash, which is weird.
Okay. Well, that's going to be in Elseworlds, apparently.
I guess so. If it's based off after Flash, then it has to be Elseworlds, though.
If it's being folded into that, yeah. Well, look, I think the trailer looked fun. I'm as I said before in the episode we did a few weeks ago, I don't feel like these movies are for me anymore. I feel like I've kind of graduated out of them, or not graduated out of them, but I think they're changing in a way that is marketing them to a younger audience. They're not as concerned about a comic book fan of my age, which is totally fine. Like, I've got other things and I can always go back. I rewatched Iron Man 3 the other day. That movie fucking rules. Like, yeah, but it looks fun. I hope people enjoy it. I hope people go out and see it. And this fatigue thing is short-lived, because that young actor's really great, the one from Cobra Kai, and it looks like a fun picture.
Yeah, and I'm really excited because I have previous with Blue Beetle from Young Justice, and he's a very tragic but also very, very interesting character. And seeing how they're not going the whole mother box route, where it's actually the mother box that transforms into this beetle that then attaches itself to the character, and then speaks to it like a good and bad conscience at times,
like a symbiote.
Yeah, it's okay. Like to people who don't know who Blue Beetle is, it's like Spider-Man, Venom rolled into one, but with the charm of like Shazam.
Okay. Yeah, well, I mean, that's all good DNA. I'm just interested to see, like, Blue Beetle couldn't be more obscure to a regular public. It's not like I don't feel like the target for that is people who are going to see the next DC movie. I feel like this is a target for people who look at that trailer and go, that looks interesting, as opposed to that's a comic book movie, because it's just so obscure. It'd be like I'm always toting throughout the last year, I've always said they need to make a fucking movie about The Question, which is a really random DC character that people wouldn't know. But I feel like if you made that picture and marketed it as like a film noir as opposed to a comic book movie, people would be more likely to go, yeah. So, cool. So Blue Beetle, hope he gets out there and remains blue. This one was interesting to me. Adam Driver, wonderful Adam Driver, the most recently 65, has officially will officially star in the Heat sequel. Heat, the I think it's 1995 crime epic by Michael Mann, starring Robert De Niro and Al Pacino. As Al Pacino was a robbery homicide detective, and Robert De Niro was the leader of a crew of criminals who were thieves, and just incredible picture, 3 hours long. Probably the finest crime drama that you'll ever see. It's actually playing at the Astor this Monday night. I'm going to check it out. But so there is a sequel to that movie in book form that Michael Mann wrote with another writer whose name escapes me, which tells the story parallel to. Tells two stories parallel to each other. One is a sort of prequel of the film with the younger versions of those characters, and then the more current. So my understanding is Robert De Niro and Al Pacino are returning as the older versions of the characters from that movie, but in the flashbacks, Adam Driver will be playing young Robert De Niro.
That's insane. I love that.
Now, it is for two reasons. One, he should probably be playing the young Al Pacino if he should be playing anyone, because he just, in terms of, he looks a little bit more like, and I feel like he's got that intensity that Pacino has, in a way that De Niro doesn't have. But also, he's about 18 inches taller than both of them. What happened? Was it stilts? What's going on? I don't know how they're going to tell that story. But then again, that's suspension of disbelief. But hey, man, Adam Driver's getting work. I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
This one will be exciting for you. Andy Moscato. Andy Machete.
Yep.
Andy Mesquite. What's his name? Andy Machete.
Yep.
Muschietti.
Yep.
Andy Muschietti is highly rumored to be directing a Justice League film for the new DCU, and the rumor has it is that, fuck, that's a terrible song. I wish I hadn't done that now. I might cut that out. No, I'll leave it, but that's what I'm saying. I feel like it's a sort of a secret, I feel like. Rewind for a second, Regan. Catch up your fucking mouth. My brain's like...
Just breathe.
I just read. Here we go. The secret project is a Justice League project based on The New Frontier. Which is it's a comic book that was written by Darwin Cook, written and illustrated. Darwin Cook, incredible artist, passed away a few years ago. I think it was actually about 5 years ago now. I think, he was an animator on the Batman animated series from the 90s, and he had that style, and he did a really, really great series called New Frontier, which was set in the 50s, but it had all the modern superheroes in it, and it was just... It's beautiful. They made an animated version of it, which is outstanding. You should absolutely check it out. We talked about it in our animated episode. But yeah, I mean, I'm totally... I don't know what the Flash is, and I haven't seen it. I don't know how efficient this guy is as a director, but fuck, man, that sounds interesting to me. A lot.
I just... I was on my phone today, which is like 2 hours ago, and I watched this clip of the Justice League cartoon where Superman gives Batman the kryptonite ring before they have the conversation about backup plans and damage control. And Superman asks Batman that you were so egotistical that you forgot to make your own backup plan for when you go evil. And he looks at Superman and says, I have a backup plan. It's called the Justice League.
Yeah. It's you, motherfucker. That's cool. That was would have been from Doom, I guess. The Justice League Doom film that was sort of based on that series.
Yeah. I mean, the scene is both in the series and...
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, it's in a movie as well. But I think they switch out something where, in the series, it's you, and he says that Superman's the backup, and in the movie he says the Justice League is, but that's interchangeable. That's fine. I want that dynamic now. Yeah. I'm over the whole depressed Batman shit. I want that.
Yeah. I totally get that. And actually that leads nicely into the last story here, talking about not depressed Batman. On April the 1st, I'm not going to say who it was, but somebody put a story out there that Chris Pratt had been officially cast as Batman in Brave and the Bold. It was a April Fool's joke. That's not funny. That's not funny. All right, go fuck yourselves. I don't find that funny. That's about as funny as rectal trauma, which actually in of itself is a pretty funny thing to say, but it's not funny. I mean, I like Chris Pratt. I think he's good in some of the stuff that he's in, but his exposure is outrageous, and I don't suit Batman at all. But I think they know that, and that's what the joke is.
I don't know. The whole DCU thing is exciting and scary, but it's more just depressing right now for me until the Flash comes out.
Yeah, there's no way we can know what the DNA of it's going to be, like what the structure of it's going to be. It's just at the moment it's all hearsay. I still do stand by the fact that I think that James Gunn should just shut up and get on with the job. Like not in a horrible like shut up and dribble way. I just mean like, dude, you got to stop interacting with people because you're never gonna speak to them in a way that's gonna translate. Like someone made a comment about him always casting his wife in things. And he came back and was like, I only cast her in Suicide Squad. That's it. She gets cast in everything else. But I'm like, why are you even engaging? Like, don't... I know that someone said shitty thing about your wife or whatever, but like, these people are trying to get a rise out of you. Don't just go about the job, go and make your films and let the work speak for itself. You're an intelligent dude. I don't know why you feel like you need to get on Twitter and engage with people who are clearly not as intelligent as you, for starters. Or maybe that's the point. Maybe he likes showing dominance. I don't know. But yeah, just leave it out, mate. Leave it out. So let's get to the bulk of it. Oh, what are you going to say? Got two things? What?
Yep, I've got two stories for nerd
Two
news.
doubles. Awesome. I'm excited. Here we go. There's more nerd news. Enjoy it.
Right, so I want to talk a bit about the new Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse trailer that dropped.
Oh, shit. Yeah, I completely forgot about that one. That was the other trailer that I knew I was missing something at the start. Yeah, you must have shit a solid gold egg.
I did.
Yeah.
I was in uni. I had to run out of fucking class because I was almost bawling. And then I went into the washroom and I fucking bawled because that looked insane.
Yeah, it looks incredible. Fucking... Miguel, the 2099 Spider-Man. I'm so happy to see a version because I love that book. I just feel like it was a really interesting take on Spider-Man and was kind of. It was like body horror and it was more science fiction-y even more than Spider-Man actually is. And I just love the costume design and the theatrics of it. And it seems like they're going to play him as a bit of a villain.
Yeah, so this is part one of 2 parts, which is going to be ending like 2024. And we'll have Beyond the Spider-Verse, which will be the last of this universe. But they're introducing the Spot, which is the most out there villain you could ever imagine for Spider-Man, and he's in here. It seems like they're gonna try to incorporate him as he is the villain, but I think that will come into play like at the end of this film or maybe at the start of the next one. But I feel like there's a lot of imposter syndrome going on with Miguel O'Hara because he wasn't bit by a spider, for anyone who doesn't know. No,
he received his powers through a scientific accident. There was people doing genetic enhancements of people, and he ended up in the chamber by accident. So it was almost an accidental Captain America in some ways. And he has the reason he can climb on walls is because he has little talons that come out of his fingers, which is some fucking baller ass shit. He's got like vampire teeth and it's like. Just graphically, as a design, it's so great. Dan, when he went overseas some years ago, went to a comic shop in the United States and got me a poster of that's in my living room of that design, that outfit. yeah, I can't wait to see what it is, because it's already going to be good because it's the Spider-Verse sequel. Like, you can't fuck that up, honestly. But to have the addition of that character and the others as well is really great.
Yeah, and that trailer dropped, and like 3 minutes after was the international trailer dropped, which starts with Tobey Maguire, then it goes to Andrew Garfield, then it goes to Tom Holland, and then it goes to Miles Morales.
Yeah.
And it's all the Spider logos, and it's like the first 5 seconds and it fucking teared me up.
Yeah, man. Powerful shit. Do you reckon is that a precursor to, okay, these guys are going to be in
Oh,
Beyond?
Yeah, they definitely are. That's why they dropped that. They definitely are. If it's not in this one, it's in Beyond.
Yeah.
Probably in Beyond, because it fits more with the title.
Yeah, I think so. And maybe that's how they get. I don't know. I know it's more Sony than anything, but maybe that's how they get Miles into the MCU. Like, he goes into the real world. I don't know. Like, we've talked about it before. Like, when we did our the Legacy of Spider-Man episodes, we talked about that it's time for a Miles live action.
It is.
It's like it couldn't be more current to do that, to put a person of color, of mixed race as well, but a person of color in that suit, and someone like a youthful person as well is not to say that Tom Holland isn't youthful or anything, but someone who is a kid, in a way that that character is. Yeah, it couldn't be more poignant to do that right now. So get on it. What was the other story?
Yeah, I just one last bit of information that we got from that trailer was Miguel Herrera refers to No Way Home and says Doctor Strange and the Nerd from Earth 19999, and I screamed because at the premiere of Miss Marvel, Iman Vellani was asked what universe does she think that the MCU is, and she said that it doesn't matter what Kevin Feige says. I know he always says that it's 616, but the MCU is 19999, and I paused it and I fucking screamed at my phone saying she was right, and I loved it.
Is that because of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? Is that where that sort of designation came up?
The 616?
Yeah, or whatever, the other one as well. Like, where does the designation 19999 come from? Like, who has said that in the past? Like, why would that young actress know that?
Because that's Kamala Khan's universe.
Yeah, but what I'm asking is, like, how does the cinematic universe, like, who's ever said that? Who said that was the cinematic universe?
So we had like Mysterio saying that in Far From Home, but that was just a throwaway thing because that was all a script. But we had in Doctor Strange, our MCU was referred as 616, which
is that right?
Confirmed it weirdly. But the thing is, in the comics, like, the 616 universe is the main universe where Stan Lee also exists. But the thing is, because we've seen the MCU will always refer itself as 616 because that's the only universe that the MCU knows of.
I don't know if you're ready for it, everyone, but Season 2, fucking math. We're doing math up in this bitch. It's too much. I can't get my head around it. That's the multiverse saga for you, I guess.
Yep.
Well, right on. I can't wait for that picture. What was the other story? You had another one? Yeah,
the other one was Wes Anderson dropped the trailer for, or like Focus Films dropped the trailer for Asteroid City, and it's an alien film directed by Wes Anderson.
Certainly seems like that. And the funny thing is, I was talking to someone about it the other day, my mate Brad, who's a big fan of that. And as filmmakers, if anyone else is out there as a filmmaker, particularly if you use Canon software, the shooting codec for most filmmakers when using Canon cameras is called C-Log. C-Log 1, C-Log 2, C-Log 3, and they're variants of picture quality or resolution or information going into the camera, basically. And you shoot C-Log and it's flat. That looks really flat. Like, there's no dynamic range whatsoever. And that's so that when you get into the editing system, you can adjust it from I think it's 16 stops either way. Like you can sort of adjust it and add color, and it's just easier to do a grade on it. And I shoot in C-Log 2 exclusively because of that latitude that it allows. It looks like he shot it in that. I mean, he might shoot on film. I honestly don't know, but what it looks like, and I said this to Brad, is it looks like he shot it in C-Log and then not done any sort of contrasting. All he's done is put color in, like pastel color, because it looks flat. There's no dynamic range to it at all. I mean, I know he does storybook kind of style anyway, but this in particular is the next step, and it's beautiful to see him evolve. Because he first started getting really experimental with the Life of Steve Zissou, The Life Aquatic, with Steve Zissou or what it was called, but that picture, even more so than the Royal Tenenbaums, and you kind of see him sort of do that at Grand Budapest, and then Darjeeling, and then the French Dispatch. Like they've all become more and more Fantastic Mr. Fox. They've all become more and more storybook, and this looks like it is 100% a book that was printed in the 50s. I'm excited.
Yeah, it's one of the few trailers that has made me cry. Just because...
You just said that you cried when you saw the other two trailers.
No, I just...
You cried because you saw Barbie and thought, oh, this is shit.
I did not cry for that.
Ryan Gosling looks like whoever the president of the United States is at the moment. What's his name again? Joe Biden. Al Biden. I nearly called him that. Al Biden's his brother, who's actually a sheet metal worker in Chelsea. It's not true. Looks like him, and you cried for that, and then you cried for
Spider-Verse?
Blue Beetle. Spider-Verse, yeah. But no, that's cool. I know you're a huge Wes Anderson fan, aren't you?
He is my god.
That's fine, man. People have him.
Yeah.
You've got to draw your inspiration from someplace. I'm a total simp, and I just love Steven Spielberg. I'm not saying all of his movies are perfect or that his movies are better than other people's movies. I just like his visual language appeals to me a lot, and it informs what I do as a filmmaker. The fucking thing, I stopped following someone the other day on Instagram because as soon as that trailer dropped, they dropped an article. It was almost as if they were ready. They dropped an article that they'd written that said, why Wes Anderson's overrated. Like, what the fuck is this? Why would anyone want to read that? And even if they would want to read that, why would you want to write that? Like, why tear something down when you can build something up? If you don't like Wes Anderson, tell me who's a filmmaker you do like. Have an argument in the positive instead of the negative. I feel like I've been saying that for a year. And no one's listening. The internet's still fucked.
I mean, the one thing I would say is that definitely Wes Anderson's style is not for everyone, because he does a lot of things with a lot of his characters that are very true to human nature that some people just can't accept. And it's not... Most movies have that wall of, realism, and, you're watching a movie. His characters are very real in a very fantastical environment. And it throws some people off, but I just... The only way I can actually fucking describe my relationship with him is that Wes Anderson is my god, film is my religion, and the theaters are my temple.
That's awesome. I'm stealing that. I'm going to use that on someone and not give you credit.
I don't care.
No, that's absolutely true. Every time I go to the movies, like I say that to people, like telling my friend Tim that I went to the Astor like 38 times last year or something like that, and he was like, what the fuck? I'm like, it's my temple, man. That's where I go to pray, and that's beautiful. But I just mean, like, yeah, you're right, Wes Anderson stuff isn't for everybody, but that doesn't mean you have to be negative about it. Like, if you don't like it, just don't talk about it. Just move on. But apologies everyone if you can hear the rain that's going on here in Melbourne. It's quite damp. Cool. Well, let's get into the bulk of the episode and chat about some shit that we did for a year ago, and we might drop in a few clips here and there depending on what we talk about. I'll go back and source those. So episode 1, which was called MC You Better Believe It, because I love a pun, came out when?
25th March 2022.
25th of March 2022. I re-listened to this episode and it's raw as fuck. I even mess up the intro. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Film Addicts podcast. Yep, that's what I said. It's our first episode, and you can tell because I'm stuffing up already. You can kind of see, I mean, with this episode, and also I think the second episode as well, which was the DCU episode we did, which was called #Release the Podcast. I feel like we were kind of finding our feet a little bit,
yep.
and figuring out what the show was gonna be and what it was gonna feel like. They were also really long. Like, I know most of our episodes are long now, but normally when you start a podcast, the episodes are quite short because you're just starting out. But yeah, both of those episodes were 2 hours or ish, or a bit longer. And also, this is something you probably don't know about Addy, because he sounds so efficient at it now, so much so that we can guest on other people's podcasts. He was so fucking nervous.
Oh my god, I was so fucking nervous.
You're a bundle of fucking nerves, and you fucked up at one point, and you were like, "Oh man, I'm fucking it up." I'm like, "No, you're not, man. This is it. This is what it is. We're just going to move forward." And you've the confidence that you've gained, and you're a podcaster now. It's you can't say that you're not. I know it's trendy to have a podcast, and everyone's got a podcast. I've got a podcast on my cats. I've got a podcast on coffee. I've got a podcast on fucking anal piercings or whatever. And that's cool. But you have taken it on almost as a profession, and I appreciate how far you've come.
Thank you.
And he's still quite nervous, but yeah, that was the opening gambit. Was like, hey, do you want to do a podcast, and I want to talk about the MCU. Was that what it was for you? Like, when you said, like, why did you want to do a podcast?
I don't know. I thought, like, our writing styles were completely different, yet I just had so much fun doing it with you, and I wanted to, like, spend more time with you in, like, not a weird way.
It's not weird now. It's been a while. We've spent, like, a lot of time together up at this point. I feel like it was a personal thing. I have a show. Like, I've got another show that's called The Stitch Up. It's on YouTube. Some people might know that on it, which is actually becoming a podcast shortly. That's why there haven't been any episodes since the dramatic reading of Die Hard: A Christmas Story happened in December. The reason there haven't been any new episodes is because I'm working on making it a podcast, because it's just you reach a bigger audience. It's so much more efficient, and time-wise I can get more done. So that will no longer be a video show. Occasionally I might do a video here and there, depending on if you have a special guest or if there's something particularly I want to do. But to have that, and now that we also have the audience here as well, people are enjoying what we're doing, and that's 99.99999% of why I do this, and the rest of it's just to hang out with you and to make people laugh. Like, Juan said it the other day when we were guesting on their show, and he was like that I've had him doubled over with laughter, like a bellyache of laughter. That's my favorite thing in the world, is making people laugh. Honestly, I get so much joy out of it, and I like being funny. It's makes life so much more enjoyable, because you just get to be around happiness all the time if you're making people laugh. Like, why wouldn't you want to do that to yourself? But yeah, that will change platform wise, the Stitch Up, and then Addy will probably come on, and it'll just be, now we have 2 podcasts. That's a little bit more targeted though. Like, we talk about a specific movie, and that's all we talk about. There's no, like, show about it. There's no sort of pageantry the way that there is here. It's more of a dissection of cinema, of people that people like. I have guests on, and they choose the episode. So just thinking about those original shows, and you were just, I want to do this. I want to do this podcast together. One of the other things that we were really keen on doing, well, the second episode had to be split because we forgot to do the Q&A portion.
Yeah.
And that was kind of what the third episode was in a way. But then we also had a 2-part episode for episode 3, which was, we were talking about the DC animated universe and focusing particularly on the Robins. Do you feel like once we got to that point, that was where you were like, okay, I've done everything I wanted to do. What the fuck are we going to do now?
Was it before Dune?
Yeah, Dune was the next one after that.
Yeah, I really wanted to talk about Robin because, it's Dick Grayson.
Yeah, there was a lot of dick chat in that episode.
Oh yeah, it's my.
I mean, so you need to get some dick into your life, and there was a huge, because I didn't do any editing back then. When we were just on Zoom, I couldn't cut them because they were, but the two audio lines were tied together. But now I can actually do proper editing and take out gaps and stuff. But yeah, little behind the scenes for you there. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Yeah, I said, you need to get some dick into you, and there's a huge gap of you laughing, but because you laugh silently, it just seems like there's a huge gap.
That's my favorite one to go back to sometimes because it's short and it's just a lot of dick talk. I think
it is.
That was when the dick sound was invented for us.
Yeah. The blizzard of dicks. I think as well it's also, there's a purity to it because we're both, you have a thing for the Robins as an ideology, and my favorite hero is Dick Grayson. Like, I just, and I went on quite a long diatribe about why he's important, and that it was formative for me as a young man, and as now as an older man, you kind of want to be a better person when you look at Dick Grayson as a person, especially the most recent one that Tom Taylor's doing. Yeah, and then Dune.
Yeah.
So Addy was a much bigger fan. Like, I liked Dune. Actually, no, Dune wasn't next. It was Disney. We did like a Disney chat about the it was called Disney Plus Sized. What's going on?
I didn't realize that was a 2 hour 33-minute episode. Holy shit!
Is it?
It is.
Fucking hell. Well, there was a lot to talk about because
it
was all the Disney Plus
shows and shit.
Yeah. Do you feel like your rankings are the same? Because it was like, WandaVision was going to be your top one. Is it still there, or has things changed for you?
I think so. I think we did, like, at the end of the last MCU one that we've done. I think we did a ranking then. I think I still had WandaVision at number 1 by then.
Yep.
But yeah, it hasn't changed there. What is?
That's all right. I kind of assumed as much, but I didn't want to. I wanted to check with you as well. Yeah, no, and also that's another one of those episodes that I listen to now, and I realize how much my opinions have changed. Like, I still love that stuff, and particularly Hawkeye. Like, I still think that's the best. But yeah, I'm realizing that those, I don't have a relationship with those shows as much. Like, Kike said the other day, he thinks that Loki's the best out of those shows, and I barely remember it, honestly.
You know
it's
what?
All kind of going away quickly.
Yeah, I think the reason why is that they're very short. Like, except for WandaVision, everything has 6 episodes, and plus there was so much talk about it while they were coming out that you don't really feel the need to go back. I've done that with a couple of shows, and like all like the noise surrounding it, it's when it's not there, it's much more easier to enjoy. And pick up things, which is true for everything. When you go back, you find new things to enjoy, but especially for those, because like at that point, I think we were also like heading a point of exhaustion from Marvel, because like it was 5 shows and like 4 movies.
It had just sort of, because we'd come out of like major lockdowns, and was the world was kind of ramping back up again, and they were like, we've got all this stuff, we've got to get it out.
Yeah.
Which might have been a mistake, I don't know. There is definitely a fatigue had started to set in, and by the time we get to She-Hulk, I think everybody was a little bit like, what the fuck are we here for? Not that that's a criticism, like if you feel that way about it, that's totally fine. You check out of things. But yeah, yeah, it's just interesting to hear, like, as a time capsule, going back and hearing them being like, oh, okay, that's sort of where we were. And when where we were as well is in terms of Dune. I didn't have a relationship with that film. I like the David Lynch one. I think it's really bizarre. But I've never read the books or anything, and I liked Denis Villeneuve's picture. It was impressive, even though I was being distracted by someone fucking nearly balls deep behind me, It's incredible thing. A lot of weird things have happened to me at the cinema just purely by the nature of the fact that I've been to the cinema so often. Like if I was to chart it in terms of hours, it would be days of my life every year. But yeah, what a weird pick. Not a terribly sexy. Well, I suppose the cast's pretty damn sexy, but yeah, being able to hear your love for that film, because I know that's that film and hang on, what did you say? It was at that, and then that came out, and then something else came out, and Dune was your number one favorite movie, and then something else came out and replaced it like within quickly. No,
Dune was my favorite of that year.
Maybe that was what it was. It was like something else, and then Dune came out, and you were like, oh well, this is the one. We were hinting about a sequel at that point. You know, they were just talking about it. Since then, it's been pushed forward, and now has a release date of this year in November, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
I am. It's not my most anticipated one, but also this year is fucking packed. We have Nolan, we have Wes Anderson, we have Greta Gerwig, we have Francis Ford Coppola, we have Martin Scorsese. All of them coming out with fucking movies. But my number one was always going to be Asteroid City.
Yeah, but it's interesting that all these well, not auteurs, but all these directors have big pictures coming out that have been gestating for a long period of time. Like Flowers on the Killer Moon has been in production, or at least pre-production, post-production, whatever, for ages. It's a 4-hour long picture as well, which I'm totally cool with. Oppenheimer's going to be 3. Like I feel like people have kind of gotten over that. You know, like there's some movies you come out and you're like, what the fuck is that doing at 2.5 hours? There's not enough story there, but people are comfortable doing that, and I think that precedent was set absolutely by the MCU movies getting longer and longer, because now they're just like, that's crazy. That Spider-Man No Way Home, the director's cut of that, or the more cut, the cut that's got more in it, is nearly 3. Yeah, people adapt, man. Especially when it comes to movies and shit. Like, that's the whole thing.
And it was just pushed forward by the Batman showing how it cannot be so much MCU and still be engaging with that time of 3 hours.
And with the audience as well, because that movie couldn't be less like the MCU. There's so much craft going on there in terms of its cinematography, in terms of its construction, its set design, its CG work. A lot of it was practical. Getting these actors in, like spending time on the script, it was the anti-Marvel in a lot of ways, which is probably why it did so well. Like I like that movie. I think it's by no means the best Batman movie, because that's Batman Returns, motherfuckers. But yeah, it does give people like oh, this is just normal now. 3 hours is normal. I need to eke out more time. But fucking John Wick 3 was almost for a 3 hours. It was like 2 hours and 51 minutes or something like that. So yeah, I think that might be the future. 4-hour Martin Scorsese movie about a serial killer in the 1920s, starring Leonardo DiCaprio and Brendan Fraser and Robert De Niro. Like, fucking yes, please. Marty's earned it. He can make movies however long he wants. I don't give a shit.
Oh yeah.
We had a nerd news episode, which is basically just us talking about all the stuff that happened at CinemaCon that year. I can't remember what exactly we talked about.
It was about like, it was like Don't Worry Darling and the Blade mess up.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, oh man, it feels like so long ago.
I know, right? That was like 10 months ago, man.
Unbelievable. And that episode is also the episode that's dedicated to Splodge.
Oh, that's the Dune one.
No, that's Necessary Nerd News, which was episode 6. I miss her a lot, honestly. Like, I know I've got my 3 little pals now, Paul, Perry, and Clark, little kittens who are currently all sleeping very cutely together in the laundry in their beds. But yeah, I miss Splodge every day. I had to put together like a photo reel for my and my fiance's 10-year anniversary, which just happened last week. And some of them had Splodge in them, and it was really hard. Like, she was a person to me. And as much as I think that she would have enjoyed Necessary Nerd News, she probably wouldn't have. She's a very particular cat. But yes, moving on. Probably this might be my favorite pun of all time. For the episode 7, the Moon Knight episode, the episode was called On a Moon Night Like This, much like the Kylie Minogue song On a Night Like This, and I thought that was fucking hysterical. I like Moon Knight a lot. I actually have more appreciation for it now than I did then. I think it kind of grew on me like after the fact. I didn't watch it again either. Like it was just something about it felt different, and then my appreciation for Oscar Isaac and just there was something about it. And I think I mean, of course, not only the Dick in the Sky chat that we had, and you not pronouncing sarcophagus properly, which I'm probably going to drop in. Like I'll drop a clip of that in.
Their hearts are still inside the sarcophagus.
Sarcophagus. Fucking sarcophagus.
Yeah, that. The Egyptian coffin, dude. The ancient Egyptian coffin.
Egyptian coffin. That was you giving up in such an amazing way. I don't know what the fuck it's called. Your understanding of it from a metaphorical point of view, from a spiritual point of view, was really interesting to me, because it's for someone so young, you have quite a keen grasp on that stuff. You're laughing at me like you're not. No, it's not true. You are wise beyond your years, even if you don't feel it. Like emotionally, you're incredibly sophisticated.
Again, thank you.
Yeah, thank you with a question mark and raised shoulders. Yeah, it's absolutely the truth, man. Like you've proven it time and time again on this podcast. Like we wouldn't get along if that wasn't the case. Like if you were just a typical, 19-year-old or 20-year-old, like you're not going to get along with a fucking 40-year-old dude. Like just probably going out there and doing drugs the way that young people do drugs. I don't know. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going to have a relationship with you that's going to be very fulfilling if you're a typical 19-year-old who's all about themselves mostly, or is obsessed with trends or TikToks or whatever. Like, you don't construct an image either, mate.
I'm the most me during the show. That's something that I've come to realize, that I'm the most truthful and the most vulnerable when we're recording. Because I've had moments where I've almost cried during recording of certain episodes. Yeah, we'll get into it.
I've had moments where I have cried. But yeah, that's what this is. Like that's what this space is for us, is a place to be ourselves. And I don't put on anything here when I'm in show mode sometimes because I've got to be big or silly. Perhaps not so much today because we are kind of reminiscing a little bit, and I've got to do intros and everything. But this is who I am. Like I'm not. There's no guard up here. Like I'm not saying things I don't believe in, or saying things to get more popular, or being clickbaity, or pushing a hot topic because that's a hot topic to talk about, or anything like that. We just kind of make it up and do what we want to do and have a conversation between the two of us, because we do it autonomously. We're just kind of. We do it in a silo, like it's just me and you, and then all of a sudden it's on the internet and 16,000 people will listen to it or whatever. So there's some freedom in that, absolutely. We talked about it's time to talk about the multiverse and its madness.
This is it, right?
Do you? This is the one. This is the episode. I believe this is the episode where we talked about not only me doing an impression of 3 different people at once.
Oh, that was so amazing.
It was Patrick Stewart talking to, I think he was either talking to, this might have been the antithesis, not the antithesis, sorry, the beginning of the Disney Plus impression as well. I'm not
partnership.
Sure. Don't know when that happened. I'm Disney Plus here. That guy. I don't know where he came from or what point, but this episode, Strange Brew, it was called for Multiverse of Madness, was the episode where not only did I do an impression of Hayley Atwell, Kevin Feige, or some executive of Disney, and Charles Xavier, Patrick Stewart talking about going to the premiere of that movie, even though they were kind of like supposed to be hidden, and he convinced him to put him in the trailer.
Peggy Carter, and she's played by Hayley Atwell.
Hayley Atwell,
who was also at the premiere for Doctor Strange: Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah, she's fucking in it because we've seen that she's in it. Maybe that's why they had to do that. They're like, Patrick Stewart is like, I want to come to that. Now I sound more like Ian McKellen then, but I'll do Ian McKellen.
Yeah.
I would like to come to that premiere and bring my beautiful wife and talk to people who are there. Doctor Strange, please let me come. And they're like, well, fuck, we can't do that because then why just reveal me in the trailer? Well, no, we can't. It's going to give you, no, reveal me in the yellow chair in the trailer. And they're like, fuck, Patrick, you're the bomb, mate. You can come. And then standing behind him was Hayley Atwell, and she was like, well, what the fuck? I want to come to the thing as well. Oh, she sounds like Veruca Salt, but whatever. I would like to come there. I will even bring my shield. And they're like, Hayley, you're kind of busy with Mission Impossible. I would like to come. And they're like, fuck. Thanks, Patrick. Now we're going to invite her too. All right, you can come as well. Put her in the trailer. The 15-second. We'll do it quickly. Give her jetpacks. I'm Kevin Feige. And scene. I hope you enjoyed that, everybody. It's my little...
Oh, I love that.
I've cracked.
Yeah.
I've absolutely cracked. But it's also where Addy told me that he thinks that during the snap, Hulk went to Reed Richards so that he could get Smart Hulk went to Reed Richards to get a small, normal-sized pink penis on his massive green body so that he could have sex with people. And I'm going to drop that clip in, and you can enjoy it for yourselves.
And Bruce says it. He's treated the Hulk as the villain and the disease. But when he started looking at the Hulk for a cure, he was able to merge. And it's the
and
age.
And never have sex again.
Ouch. No.
I mean, I'm sorry. It had to come up, and I'm not the only one who's brought it up. But if he's like, I took the brains and the brawn and put them together, the best of both worlds. I'm like, yeah, but your penis would be enormous now. Like, it would be incalculably big. You get like a blue whale, man. Who is doing what for whom? I'm just saying, it could be something that comes up. How could you find condoms the right size?
I have a theory.
You have a theory? Okay, great.
Yeah, maybe in those 5 years, right? He met Reed Richards somewhere, and Reed. Shut up! Just let me finish, right?
All right.
Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic, also the plastic elastic man. Fuck.
Yep. Plastic elastic man. Yep.
Your Plastic Man is a DC property. Sorry.
Yeah, we're getting confused, but okay, keep going.
Yeah, and the Reed Richards can elongate his organs, right? So Reed Richards also has the power of just elasticity, but also he can make his arms solid when he wants to.
Sure.
So maybe the DNA shit, man. Just two scientists just bickering because Bruce Banner needs a fitting dick for his new body. Yeah. So the both work.
He needs a fitting dick. And by fitting dick, you mean a dick that fits his body. Yep, I understand.
Yeah. Was that not clear?
Saying that Reed Richards would help him?
Yeah. Reed
Richards has better things to do with his time, like save the planet from Galactus, than trying to figure out how to make sure Bruce Banner can still fuck when he's in Hulk mode. Oh.
How do you know?
So, does this mean in your head? I'm sorry. Does this mean in your head, Professor Hulk has this huge, massive, 7-foot-tall hulking green body, but in between his legs, he's got a normal pink man's penis?
Whatever you want, man. Whatever you want.
Amazing. I mean, where do you begin? Does he have enormous green balls and then a little fucking pink penis?
Exactly.
Is that it? Or wow, the mind boggles. Ladies and gentlemen, please write in and give us your theories on the Hulk dick. Professor Hulk's dick.
You know what? I'm actually fucking proud of that theory.
You should be. It is by far the most interesting thing anyone said about the MCU ever. You can go into all the different aspects of what's going on, or what themes are happening, and who's doing this, and what's going to be the overarching story, and there's an Easter egg there. No one has ever gone, hey, by the way, Hulk has a tiny little pink penis. And everyone's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Yeah, I'm going to tell you.
It's tiny little pink penis for him. It's like, I'm not gonna...
No, we'll let the clip speak for itself, honestly.
Yeah.
We did an episode on Obi-Wan, which is pretty cool, and that was kind of fueled your that was called Wan Singular Sensation, which is pretty fun. It was about not only Addy talking about his watching of the prequel pictures, which you actually quite like, and I appreciate that about you, because not a lot of people admit that in the Star Wars community, because it's liable to get you fucking skinned or tarred and feathered. I'm telling you. Actually, a whole bunch of stuff came out from the Star Wars thing today. They're doing a whole bunch of new movies. James Mangold signed on to do like an origin story of the Jedi Order, which is set 25,000 years before the events of these films. Rey's returning for a sequel to Rise of Skywalker, where she's, a Jedi New Order, New Order Jedis, or Order some New Jedis, whatever it is. Let me tell you, after I'm gonna fuck up my own joke because I can't remember what's the order where they kill a bunch of them?
Order 66.
Okay, hang on, I'm going to try that line again. Yeah, after Order 66, they did have to order a bunch of new Jedis. Riggs! So all that's going on. But I feel like I'm okay with Mando and all the stuff that's going on. I don't have a huge relationship with Star Wars. But that... the Obi-Wan show was great. Like, I really appreciate that. Ewan McGregor, just
amazing,
just slayed it.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And since then I watched the sequel trilogy, and I love Daisy Ridley as Rey. She's my favorite Star Wars character.
Yeah.
And
fuck, you're gonna get it. You're gonna get it online. 11,000 people are going.
I don't fucking care.
Yeah. Who gives a shit?
I do want to say before we move on though, because I can't fucking say it again now, but the other day, I was like fucking 2 weeks ago, and I was just sitting in just silence, and I tried to pronounce the Egyptian coffin, and I did. Mm-hmm. And then I tried to do it again, and I couldn't.
It's illusory. It doesn't always come to you, but you will get it eventually. Sarcophagus.
Not.
Sarcophagus. It's also around here, in the Drawn Together episode we were talking about exclusively about animated pictures, mostly so that we could get an opportunity to talk about Arcane.
Yeah.
Where I like my impressions took over, and I was that episode has got half a dozen in there at least. Seamus the pirate. Oh, going in to get a coffee. Hello, I be Seamus. I'm a pirate, and he has to tell people he's a pirate. And it made me realize, like how much I love doing that, and how much I feel like I missed an opportunity to be a voiceover artist for cartoons.
I got you, man. My fucking campaign takes off. You're voicing the 4-teeth dragon.
Of course I am. I've already got a voice for her too. Like it'll be like kind of like Mrs. Doubtfire, but by way of someone else as well. Kenneth Branagh, but with tits.
I just realized I've never actually addressed that I'm doing a campaign ever on air, and now it's just out there with fucking 4 tits of dragons.
Everybody, Addie's writing a very in-depth campaign for D&D, and it's like writing a story. It's like writing a novel or a screenplay. And one of the characters in it, because of a conversation that we had in an episode recently, I don't remember which episode it was, I talked about a dragon having boobs. Like that, like fucking the milk titties that fucking what's his name's doing in Last Jedi or whatever that picture is.
Oh yeah,
is it Last Jedi?
It is.
Yeah, where he's milking the titties. You're like, oh, that's where that milk comes from. I didn't need to know that. Whoever made that picture with Ryan Johnson, it was a bit much. The next 4 4 episodes that came out the pipe were the Legacy of Spider-Man, where we went through each of the different iterations of Spider-Man, and it was initiated because I went and saw I went to the Spider-Thon at the Astor Theatre here in Melbourne, where they did all of those films back to back, including Spider-Verse, and it was one of the best cinema going experiences of my life. And we got to rap about it, and it also, I think I've mentioned this on that episode, it helped me fall back in love with the 2 Garfield pictures because they are so different, and they do try something else in a way that the other 2 series haven't, and just how great an actor he actually is. So I appreciate you kind of helping me refine that,
Yeah. These 4 episodes were like, I can't fully say they're all like, all the episodes have some sort of like passion behind it that we want to talk about these things. That's why we do. But those 4 episodes were like heavy passion projects. It's this, but like the biggest one that we've done is the X-Men one.
Yeah, I feel like even though it was less episodes, it was for both of us. There was something there because that wasn't prompted by anything. It was just like we need to do an X-Men episode because we have to. Sometimes we tried to stay topical. We did an episode 15. The Boys Are Back in Town. We talked about this 3rd season of The Boys. Which is we both really loved and just wanted to chat about. There was heaps of stuff in episode 16, The Con Is On, which was about Comic-Con 2022 and all the things that came out there, and how, I think there was it was mostly DC stuff because Marvel decided not to participate.
The Con Is On is Comic-Con where that's Kevin Feige on stage. We talked about Phase 4 and 6.
Yeah, that's right. You're right. I fucked up. I fucked up. Yeah, no, we did because we went through each one. You're right. Yeah. Sorry, I'm getting it confused with the other one.
Oh, that was CinemaCon. That was 10 months ago.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that was the other one.
Which also never fucking happened because James Gunn is in charge. So all the Nightwing shit, all the Nightwing shit. It's just gone.
If you look back at all the stuff that we've talked about, the amount of shit, like news stories that have come through, like if anyone else to listen to this in the next 20 years, you'd be like, those guys were the most uneducated fucking new journalists, because we are journalists, we're film journalists, who've ever lived, because it just sounds like we're reporting all this stuff that never happened, and we kind of are. We did an episode, 2 Thors and a Baby, which was on Thor Love and Thunder, which I still don't have a great relationship with. I think that movie is a massive misstep, and did a disservice to a lot of characters. But we also talked about Miss Marvel.
We did.
Do you go back to that one often?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you should have seen his face everyone. It was cute as hell.
I love Miss Marvel.
It was pretty strong, and it also ushered in what will be something about the future of this MCU with Marvel, with mutants as well, because she's kind of like
she's mutant.
Not outed as one, but yeah, she's clearly there's something going on there. Yeah, I'm excited to see whatever that's going to be. Episode 18, Enter Sandman. We talked about the Netflix series Sandman, which I'm a huge fan of.
This is one that I'm sort of proud of because it was something out of my comfort zone entirely.
Yeah, well, I think that's something that's been really good for both of us. Is that like, I wouldn't have fucking gone out of my way to see Dungeons and Dragons. No way. But I'm gonna do it because you want to talk about it, and we've got a show to do. Like, it's all right. I'm gonna check it out. Let's do again. Let's be topical or talk about something that means something to you. Like it's enriching. What just at my life in cinema, because I saw the trailer for that thing and I saw the poster. I'm like, really? What the fuck are they doing?
I was the same. I had the same reaction.
And it's not like Dungeons and Dragons 1 or Dungeons and Dragons 2. Like Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves is a very specific thing. So is the sequel going to have any of those characters in it, or is it going to be Dungeons and Dragons? Here comes titties, and it's about a completely different. You should see his face. You're gonna write that. He's writing that down. Dungeons and Dragons, here comes titties. Oh no.
It's here.
You're welcome.
It's done.
It's done.
Here fly the titties.
And here fly the titties. You know, but I'm just meaning, like, what's the sequel to that? Is it connected to those stories? I don't know. But yeah, and if you got to see Sandman and that got to enrich your life in some way, that's a beautiful thing. Enriching life, this is something else, you know, funnily enough, the following episode that we did is something you told me to watch. And I watched it stupidly while my fiance was touring in Sydney. Being Normal was our episode we did on normal people. This episode was so popular, it actually got the attention of a lot of normal people fans on social media, some of who shared the episode and were so keen on that conversation, they even timestamped it to say, this is where they start talking about normal people so you can avoid all the nerd news and stuff. But what a powerful show that is, and continues to be. Since that time, Paul Mescal has starred in and been nominated for an Academy Award. And Daisy Ridley is Daisy Ridley?
Daisy Edgar Jones.
Daisy Edgar Jones, I'm getting confused with the Star Wars as well. Has gone from strength to strength as well in her career. Where the Crawdads Sing is one of the best movies I saw last year. Yeah, I was really, really happy with that episode. I was glad that I stuck it out, and I was genuinely moved when it ended. And I haven't gone back to it, but it's really fresh in my mind still. Like when things, it's like we're talking about the Marvel stuff and whatever. It's so consumable, and it just goes away really quickly. And I appreciate that some people have great love for it. Like Kike said the other day, he's like, you know, I'll never feel like I wasted my money going to a Marvel film. I kind of feel like I wasted my money a little bit on Ant-Man 3. Not wasted my money, but just my time at least. It was, you know, I could have waited for it or whatever the fuck, I don't know. But when things take hold and when they crystallize for me, I don't need to see them multiple times. Or if I do, it's because there's something I want to go back and appreciate again. But with this in particular and other things as well that stand out, I can remember so much of it so clearly. It's so sharp. But yeah, I'm sure it's going to be a thing. Because I said to Em, I was like, oh, we need to watch it. And she's like, yeah, I've been meaning to for ages and we keep forgetting about it. Episode 20 was called The Monster Smash.
I want to say something about the Normal People episode.
No, how fucking dare you? No, go for it.
That was a hard one for me.
Yeah. You were reading the book at the time too, yes?
Yeah, I was, and I've gone back to it 19 times, and I am broken every single time, and I welcome it with open arms. That's just who I am. My motto is comfort and torture, which it's my thing, not for everyone, but yeah, it's. I remember before we started recording that I told you that I might cry in this one, and I didn't cry, but I was. It was just a really emotional one for me. I'm glad that we did that because like, you know, we don't do this for like views and everything. Like people watching what we do is just a bonus. And
yeah, it is more about
it's about
me and you. This is also therapy a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because if you're in a bad mood, you still have to show up. You know what I mean? Like I'm exhausted at the moment. Like I've had 5 a.m. starts for the last like 8 days in a row, and I'm really wrecked. But like I'm so happy to see you. I'm so happy to be talking. You can't help but get you into a better place. But yeah, and it's never been about that. It's never been about that. It's never been about how many likes I get or how many. I remember a conversation with someone, and I was at a party with we would say party like a 40. I was at this gathering. I was at a fucking shenanigan or a hooty-hoo or a what's that word that I like? Hootenanny. I was at a hootenanny. It's like a pool party in around Christmas time and stuff like that. And I was the youngest person. I was the oldest person there by about 10 years. And all the people who were at that party were YouTubers, and some of them quite famous YouTubers, and school millionaires. And God bless them, they were all lovely, lovely people too. Like, just, super fun and really engaging. And I was having a conversation with someone there, and she was telling me about what she does and what it's about. And she was talking about TikTok and how she engages with it. And she says, "Are you on that for your show?" Because I was talking about the podcast, and I was like, "No." She goes, "Oh, good. You should. It's a really good way to, get attention and get people to come and listen to your show. It's a good way to get likes, or it's a good way to get views." And it did strike me. It was like, oh fuck, I don't even pay attention to that. And that's something that people kind of just say. They're like, "Oh no, I don't pay attention to views or whatever." Really, they're fucking scrolling through every day to check how many. I fucking absolutely do not. Not only do I not have time, it doesn't really bother me. Like, if 2 people listen to it, it's great. If someone sends me a message and goes, "That was a really funny joke," that's, I get a charge out of it. But it's never been about that. It's never been about prestige or fame or money. It's just about me hanging out with my friend who I can't see in person, because I don't know if we've made this clear to everybody. We've never met in person. Me and Addie are internet lovers. We met on the internet, and we continue to talk on the internet. I'm sure there'll be a face-to-face at some point in our lives, but it's one of my best friends. Like, this is an opportunity for us to get together, talk about shit that we love, and you get to listen to it. We'll get to listen to the stupid conversations we have. It's never about being something that we're not, which is celebrities. She-Hulk. We talked about the Hulk smash, which was a fun episode, and I don't know, like, again, this is another one I haven't gone back to. It's just like, yeah, that was fun. That was fine. Again, totally consumable, and setting up some things that were, it's kind of whatever. It's kind of whatever. I don't know. I still don't have a huge love for it. I know that there's a lot of hate out there for it, honestly, and that's why I kind of avoided it. Literally had to avoid social media at that time because people were being really fucking horrible.
People are horrible sometimes.
There's as a collective, we're pretty shit. Episode 21, fantastic. The first and only time we've ever had a guest. What a charmer. Like, she just and the thing that I like about her the most is that she loves our relationship. Like, I know she's your best friend.
Yes.
And that's so sweet. And I love you guys, your relationship together. You're always sharing each other's stuff, and there's so much support there. But she's just like, she thinks that our bromance is really cute. And she was so insightful and so articulate about what she loves. And we were talking about the Arrowverse, and she's so schooled on it. Like, she came to play. Me and you sometimes make it up, but she was ready to go. And she's always engaged with us. She's always engaged with the podcast. Like, it was so lovely. We're gonna have to have her back, I reckon.
Yeah, I bet. She's my best friend. She's more than my best friend. Like, I love her to fucking bits. And yeah, she's just an all-around amazing person. And I was so glad to have her on the show. Because
platonic soulmates.
Absolutely. That's exactly how we both describe each other.
Yeah. And that's a beautiful thing to have, especially with someone of the opposite sex, because you're able to get a perspective on things that maybe you wouldn't normally get. And yeah, she was awesome. Maybe we'll have her back when The Flash comes out. Do you reckon she'd come and talk about that?
Yeah, I think that would be the perfect time.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect time also. It's also a perfect time to talk about Adam and Evil, episode 22, which was about Black Adam, because Addy went and saw that, and he was like, "Have you seen it?" And I said, "No, I'm not really interested." And he said, "Well, we can do a show on it if you want to see it." And I went and saw it. Yeah, Addy really dug it, and I thought, okay, I'm committed to my friend here. We'll go and check it out. And Addy has put a disclaimer. I'm just noticing here that says this podcast was recorded right after Henry Cavill was announced to return as Superman. So we didn't know that yet, what was going to happen in a little bit of the time, but it was the following. Sorry, go ahead.
By the time we recorded it, I edited it, and it was up. Yeah, it already happened.
Yeah, it was all going on. And, you obviously know, film going public, that Henry Cavill featured at the end of that film as a tease. And then, let me just have a look here. Yeah, less than 2 days after it happened, we did that episode, it was announced that he wouldn't be returning because James Gunn was taking over and they were kind of restarting almost. And we did a special like extra episode that doesn't actually have an episode number, which is called the Superman Paradox, and it was about us talking about Henry leaving and also what the future might possibly be for Superman in a cinematic format. That was tough for you, wasn't it?
Oh God, you have no idea.
Mm.
That was actually I really need to thank you for that, because I don't know what I would have done if we had recorded that episode.
Yeah.
Like, that was... I said it in the Legend, in the iOS episode, and I said it at the end of the Black Adam episode. It gave me hope. It gave me hope in a way that I hadn't felt before, and it was very hard for me to go from that point to just nothing.
Yeah. I remember you saying on that episode, you were like, I've lost hope, and my fucking stomach sank. Like, I was so disappointed. And I also say that on the episode as well, if you don't feel like this stuff is something to get emotional about, then maybe this is the wrong podcast for you. And that's okay. You don't have to be like that. You can be that silly. That's not a realistic thing to get upset about. Why don't you get upset about famine or fucking, all the animals in the world that need helping, or, old people with hip replacements? Whatever it is that you find, you struggle to deal with emotionally, everybody's different. Everybody takes things differently. And if Addy takes out of, the symbol of Superman, some form of hope, some form of a light at the end of what can obviously be a dark tunnel sometimes, there's no problem with that. There's nothing wrong with that. That was tough. But I do feel, again, it was kind of a therapy thing.
Yeah.
You got an opportunity to kind of vent.
Most of all, that episode, that was the biggest therapy session.
Yeah, and it was. I think we both kind of got to a place where at the end of it we were okay. Well, maybe we'll just try and move forward, which will come up in an episode in a little bit. The next episode we did was called Podcast Forever. It was about Wakanda Forever. Go back and listen to that podcast if you want to know what we thought about it. It was just a podcast on Wakanda Forever. I had a good time talking about it with you. I did enjoy my intro for that one, where I was like, I've stands it too long and I can't stands no more. Like, that's, to me, that is hysteria. I come from a school of like British comedy, and that kind of puns and stuff just tickle me. So I had a really good time making that one up. But then I think probably some of the biggest stuff that we've done, it was broken up by 2 bonus episodes, which I'll speak about briefly. But we did a series starting in recorded in December, but starting in January, called A Very Merry X-Men. We did 3 parts, and we talked about the X-Men pictures. It was so much fun, and so it was so great to go back into those. Like, New Year's Day, I started watching those pictures again, the prequels, and we went through them all. They're my favorite. My fiance's favorite films as well, like superhero films. She loves the X-Men pictures. I don't know why. Like, she doesn't even know why. She just digs them a lot. You have such a beautiful relationship with the X-Men yourself. The cartoon series, which you spoke about in the 3rd episode. Did you feel like this was kind of a turning point for the show? Because I did. I felt like this could kind of getting us to that point, and like we'd spoken about the MCU and DCU and Spider-Man and little bits and pieces on the way, and we got to the X-Men, we're like, okay, we've kind of done everything that we set out to do, and now after this it's kind of gravy. We'll just figure out what it's going to be day by day, so much so that the next episode's going to be on fucking D&D. Did you feel like this was a real again graduation for us as far as episodes go, because they are the most popular episodes we've done?
I have to say though, like, the X-Men episodes I'm most proud of, because there's a certain point where we got comfortable with the format that we have, where I don't know if it was intentional at first, but I do feel like the reason why we have the 2 main segments, which is What Are We Watching and Nerd News, is because it's a world of 8 billion people. Sometimes people just don't know what we're talking about. So if people want to come and check us out for like the first 30 minutes. This is still stuff that we talk about that's not totally into the X-Men.
Yeah.
Although we did do like fully X-Men for all of them, right?
Yeah, well, we had like other, the normal segments as well, but the What Are We Watching segment has only been, instituted in the last sort of 10 episodes or whatever. And we don't have a theme for it, and I think it's just me and you being stupid. What are we? And then there was always a huge gap, but we've got the timing down now. I appreciate it. But it gave birth to what's probably my second or third favorite joke of all time. We talked about them last week about where I was doing a voice, like I was trying to create a voice for, I think it was Sony, like a streaming, or Netflix maybe it was, or something, because I've got my Disney Plus voice and that kind of thing. I was trying to create one, and I did one like, this could be my Disney voice, and I was like, that sounds like fucking Patrick Stewart, with a pogo stick up his ass. And then Addy somehow got to Charles Xavier having a huge yellow dildo in that fucking floating chair of his, and then we're off to the races. Yoda got involved. Like, it's peak show. Absolutely fucking hysterical. Between X-Men episodes, we did do a couple of extra ones because we had some shit to talk about.
Yeah.
James Gunn was announced as going to be taking over whatever the future of the DCU was, and he released a heap of news about what was going to be coming. One of those things was Swamp Thing, which today has been announced that James Mangold is currently writing and will direct. Cool, I'm totally on board with that. Mangold did Logan and Ford versus Ferrari, so free pass, dude. Like, I'm ready for whatever that's going to be. However well Dial of Destiny does. That was obviously a difficult episode for you because it's pulling so far away from the Snyderverse now. It's there's no way back. Do you feel a little bit more comfortable now, or are you kind of in the place that I am with it, where you're just like, okay, maybe it's not for me anymore?
Yeah, that episode solidified the loss of hope. But yeah, I do feel like it's not for me. Like, Ben Affleck's my Batman. I don't know if we'll ever get a Batman that's older than Thomas Wayne was and has that burden.
Yeah.
Definitely
interesting. Thematically, yeah.
Definitely not in the James Gunn universe. And Henry Cavill's my Superman, and we still have Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman as per Shazam, which is now on streaming. But yeah, I'm still. I'll give it a shot, but I just like it would be me sitting watching a Superman film without any emotion.
Yeah, well, you don't know that though. Like, it could happen, and you'd be like, "Oh my god, this has changed everything." Like, I mean, I know you know yourself well enough to know yourself, and I'm not suggesting that I know you better than you do, but you could be surprised. You could be really surprised. And look, I'm hopeful, as I said in the episode, for whatever that's going to be. Yeah, I think you're just going to go and have to see The Flash 11 times when you're at the cinema. We did also have to speak on an episode about Damien Chazelle's Babylon. The episode was called We Are Babylon, because me and Addy fucking love that movie. Oh my god. And it is the single most underrated film of the decade, honestly. Like, I don't think people understand it. And that's okay. If you don't get it, that's cool. But like I said in the episode, if half the people who went to see Avatar, went to see that, their lives would be enriched, and it might have done well enough to get the kind of notoriety that should have. Addy's right when he said in the last episode we did, someone asked a question about underrated movies. That might be one of the most underrated movies of all time. It's just perfectly executes. And I sent Addy an episode of the podcast Script Apart, where Damien Chazelle talks about it, and it's so rich, his knowledge of that history, and it's quite accurate. Like, as debauched as it is, and I know it's debauchery, but I like saying debauch. as much debauchery as there is and as exaggerated as is, that opening, cold open, which goes for 40 minutes or whatever, that party or the snake fight or anything, like this is what it was. Like, people were on drugs, people were staying up all night. It was hedonistic. There was, sex clubs and all that kind of stuff. Like it's really, it's pretty period accurate, and a lot of it's based on real people as well. It's different stories. Brad Pitt's character, absolutely, and Margot's character. These were all real people in after a fashion. So if you haven't seen Babylon yet, and you haven't listened to that episode, listen to the episode after you've seen the film, because you get more out of it that way. But yeah, if you haven't seen Babylon, check it out. It's on streaming now, or it's at least VOD. So yeah, I highly recommend it. That was a super fun episode because we got to be passionate.
Yeah, that was, and we had no segments and all that. And yeah, it was just talking about the shit that we love, man, and that's true for every single episode that we've done.
Yeah, that's all the show is. That's all the show is just us talking about shit that gets us, and sharing stuff that gets us. Like, you were like, you got to see Babylon, it's amazing. I'm like, all right, I'm going to race out right now and do it. Like, I put it on hold because I was doing other stuff, but I was like, okay, we need to get into this quickly. We finished up the X-Men episode back in March, and then just last week we released episode 27 on Ted Lasso, The Lasso of Truth, it was called. Beautiful episode. So much fun to talk about that show. So much fun to put some love out there from my friends, Jess and Tyler and little Jack as well. And that's another thing. People might not like an insight so much into our lives. I don't know. If they do, maybe they click off, or maybe they think I'm looking for sympathy, or you know what I mean. I'm kind of over worrying about what people think. You get over that by the time you get to my age, I feel. And if it's an overshare or whatever, I don't care. Like, stop listening. This is about me talking to my friend about what my life is on top of all this stuff, and my life is complex and emotional and interesting and joyful and painful and all that stuff. And this is a time capsule for me for that. And I appreciate that I get to do that. Like, I'm going to listen back to that Ted Lasso episode in 10 years or whatever, and remember fondly the time that I had with little Jack, or remember how much Tyler and Jess's friendship means to me. Now that we're 20 years older and still friends together, I hope, or me and you, like the burgeoning of our friendship into being so comfortable with each other. We getting to the point where we're finishing sentences, or we're always, we have a simpatico that you can't buy. And yeah, maybe people like clinical stuff a little bit more, but I'm going to talk about my life. I'm going to talk about my feelings. I can't operate any other way. To me, that would be disingenuous, Yeah,
I totally agree. Like, there's so much stuff in media that we can cover. It's just the things that move you for reasons that are personal to you. And to show how much you love them, you have to be open to it.
And like, there's obviously an audience. There's obviously people listening who don't mind that. Maybe they get something out of that. Maybe it helps them, find some emotional stuff inside themselves that they can get at. Or maybe they're finding more emotion in the things that they're consuming the way that we do. Maybe they're like, oh, you know what? I'm going to rewatch something with a little bit more of an emotional mindset. And yeah, I don't know. I just hope that people keep listening and keep laughing and keep enjoying the road ahead, whatever it is. D&D, apparently. Season 2 kicking off today, and then we're going to get into some goddamn dragons with some titties.
Yeah.
But it's been a beautiful year. I'm so grateful. I'm so happy to still be here, and let's keep the ball rolling, man. When ain't no stopping this train now.
Hell yeah, we got 4 TDs on the train. So who the fuck's gonna stop us?
I love it when we have 4 titties on the train. That's the best. Well, before we finish up, do we have any questions? We might do a couple of questions before we bounce.
Yeah, we have 2 questions, but before we do questions, what are your top 3 episodes that we've done?
Top 3 episodes. Well, collectively, probably the Spider-Man ones. just because it came at a really particular time, after seeing that and then revisiting those movies with an older person's eyes. Like, I hadn't rewatched the Toby ones in over 10 years, so that was great. So definitely that. Moon Knight, because it came from this insane place. I feel like we kind of caught a groove there, and the style of humor that we were both kind of attracted to crystallized. No, I'm serious. It did. Like, it was really powerful. I really enjoyed the Robbins episode, because it gave us an opportunity to. I think that was where I first started being truthful and honest about how these things make me emotional and how I feel about things, talking about the character of Dick Grayson and how he informed my behavior as a young man and as an older man. I think that was important. Yeah. What about you?
I'm gonna go number 3 with the Robbins as well.
Yep.
Because I had never opened up. I had never opened up about my nerdy shit, period, before the first episode we ever did. But yeah, it was fun to talk about the one character that speaks the most to me in ways that I can't truly explain to someone who doesn't know who Robin is. And one of my favorite things I've ever said is that Dick Grayson is Batman's biggest success and Jason Todd is Bruce Wayne's biggest failure.
Yeah, incredibly articulate, intelligent way to look at that relationship. And yeah, some people can go, whatever, it's just Batman and Robin. Yeah, maybe it is, but in some ways, it's also much more than that. So, yeah, super, super intelligent. What was the second one?
My second one would be the Superman episode.
Yeah, that was you want to talk about honesty and leaving it all out there on the field? Like, fuck, that was us at the rawest. Yeah. I appreciate it.
Like, we had no intro. We just started with just what Henry Cavill wrote in his post, and I ended the episode saying that when I look up to the stars, I'll see him flying over me, and it's gotten me fucking emotional because I've done that. I've listened to the soundtrack of Man of Steel, and I've looked up to the sky, and I've imagined fucking Superman looking at me.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Powerful and painful. All right, so what does that mean? Number 1 is
the third X-Men episode.
The one that we did about the cartoon series.
Yep, because I got to tell everyone how much I fucking love Rogue.
Yeah, and I was like, it's okay, it's all good to love her. You were a little bit hesitant, I feel, but yeah, we kind of got out there.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Well, we clearly like what we're doing. We hope you like what we're doing as well. Come on back now. We do have a couple of questions before we wrap up this anniversary episode. And here's the questions theme song, again, by the magnificent Johnny. Here we are with some questions for the anniversary episode. If you hear me chewing in the background, I'm sorry, I will turn my mic off, but I have an appointment that I have to get to this afternoon for work. So I might be smashing some food while we finish this episode up. So Addie, what's question number 1 while I eat pumpkin?
Question 1 is congratulations on season 2.
Yay!
What's your favorite movie sequel? What's your favorite sequel?
Can it be like part of a trilogy, or does it have to be like a direct sequel?
Yeah, anything.
I think the strongest sequel is probably Back to the Future 2. I love that movie.
Hard to argue with that one.
Yeah, like that's as far as doing some interesting shit that the first one didn't do, and expanding the universe and building that in. Oh, by the way, did you see the trailer for this Michael J. Fox documentary that's going to be on Apple? I couldn't. It's called Still. Oh man, I'm gonna need a box of tissues all day for that picture. Yeah. Anyway, I think it's Back to the Future 2. What do you reckon? Just to throw everyone off, I'm gonna say The Last Jedi. We're gonna get killed. We're gonna get murdered in the night. That's amazing. Okay, explain why.
I love parts of it because it has some of the best that Star Wars has ever been. It has some of the worst that Star Wars has ever been also. But it's the only Star Wars film that captured what I felt at the end of the prequel trilogy, which was that the Jedi aren't perfect and should not have the fucking privilege that they do. And Luke was right. The Jedi should end, but it leaves off with Rey being the last Jedi, and I love that now we get a chance to see her building up the Jedi Order with new and improved rules.
You mean this new Jedi Order thing, that whatever that's going to be?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I'm game for any of that shit. I do feel like we just lost a few fans, but that's okay. Nah, I'm sure people will get over it quickly. And what was the other question?
The other one is, what are some of your favorite characters, aka also known as supporting characters, in a film or series? So give me one favorite supporting character in a film and one favorite supporting character in a series.
Okay. Favorite supporting character in a series is Wesley from Angel, the Buffy spin-off. Wesley started out as a really stuffy, very British... He was like a watcher who came in to try and train Faith in season 3 of Buffy, and that didn't work out for him, obviously, because Faith ended up being a villain. And then he went over to the Angel series, and he started off like that, and by the end of it, he was an absolute badass. Like, he was... had been through all this horrible stuff and just turned into this supremely ass-kicking warlock dude. And it was such a beautiful arc for that character, especially in the last season where, after everything he'd been through, he finally got to be with the woman he loved, and then she was taken from him by a malevolent spirit or a malevolent god. And after Fred passed away, and then Illyria inhabited her body, his downfall, up until the end of that series where he basically sacrificed himself, and then his final moments were Illyria pretending she was the original Fred to say goodbye to him. It absolutely stunning, absolutely beautiful, and I always go back to that because it's such an amazing arc for a character. And in a film, as a supporting character, probably Donnie in the Big Lebowski, Steve Buscemi's character, because he says so little, but he's just so critical to the plot by the time you get to the end of it, and he's also just so fucking funny. Like, it's a great performance. It's a great little character. Him and the cowboy that or the stranger that the guy with the big mustache plays. So,
well, that's just like your opinion, man.
Hey, you bring a piece out on the lane, I'll take it from you and stick it up your ass and pull the trigger till it goes click. Jesus. That's right. Nobody fucks with the Jesus. Even him, like anybody in that fucking show, is just, that's the best comedy of all time. I don't give a shit what anybody says.
Yeah.
So what about you?
Also, like, Danny's not a real character, by the way. He's an imagination of the big mustache guy. He doesn't actually exist.
Who?
Your favorite sidekick in the Big Lebowski?
Do you think the cowboy's a figment of the dude's imagination?
Yep.
That's just a theory, though. I don't know how much I feed into that, honestly. So, you go.
All right. So it's gonna be hard not to pick Doc Brown as the sidekick. So I'm not gonna do that. My favorite sidekick in the series is John Hamish Watson in the Sherlock series by BBC with Benedict Cumberbatch and Bilbo himself, Martin Freeman.
Marty, yeah. Awesome. Yeah, that's a good call, actually. I'm going to change mine. No, I'm joking. No, it was, good call.
Yeah. And favorite sidekick in a movie. Green Lantern or Hal Jordan in the Justice League War movie. which is the animated one, who is the side character of Batman, who's the main character in that one.
Yeah, that's a good call. That's absolutely a good call. There's no more questions?
No more questions.
We're questionless. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for listening. We truly do appreciate you. Thank you for supporting the show for the last year. Welcome to Season 2. We can't be more excited. If we were any more excited, we'd be shitting and pissing ourselves in diarrhea. Or whatever the hell's going on. And please do come back. We'll probably be talking about D&D next time. So come back again and we'll chat. But Addy, I love you, mate. You're a legend. You're my best mate. Thanks so much for this. I can't wait for all that Season 2 has to offer.
I love you too, man. And if this episode it has anything that's going to move on from this episode to Season 2, it's just we're going to go more crazy.
Yeah, if anything's going to happen, it's just going to get weirder and weirder. So, but that's okay. You know what's up. So yeah, thanks again, folks. Please rate and review on Spotify, Amazon Music, YouTube, just to bring more people in to this crazy conclave that we have once a week, and bless you for it. So, but until then, remember,
sarcophagus.
Oh, the best ending to a show ever. Where Harry Styles is. He is going downtown and he's taking a picnic and staying for the day, baby. He's down there and, it's cunnilingus, everybody. People, we're grown ups.
Yeah, I've seen that clip about 100 times now. Moving on.
Oh, unsurprisingly, Batman or The Batman 2 has been announced. Very excited.
And hopefully we get the Court of All...
The cold of all the pale, but not the name. We're just talking in tongues now. Oh, Jesus. Doctor Strange is a dick now. She's just a super dick. So, yeah, that's what I would like to see.
Giant dick floating in the MCU.
He's not a literal giant dick floating in space. Though that would be pretty cool.
Yeah. We're not the boys yet.
What's that above Avengers Tower? It looks like a huge penis. Yeah, that's Doctor Strange.
Yeah. He's watching us. He's watching over us.
He's watching us. But why did he take the form of a giant penis? I don't know. He's a bit fucking weird like that, honestly. Speaking of, have you seen Hulk's penis? It's ridiculous. Why is it massive in green? No, it's tiny and pink. But the rest of him's massive in green. It's so strange. Who are we, by the way? I don't know. Two people who work at Avengers Tower. Criminally underused. Baron Mordo is one of the fucking baller-ass bad guys that they have. And him in that teaser where he goes after poor Benjamin Bratt and takes his magic away and makes him a cripple again and says, the problem with the world is too many sorcerers. Where the fuck's that story?
I do know where that story is.
Up an ass is where it is. It's up someone's ass.